Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening everyone, and welcome to the 21st and final round of the AOR Hype Season 18 PC F1 League. After a season full of surprises, twists and turns, fantastic racing and drama, we conclude this long season here in Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marina Circuit. We conclude a season which has crowned the sublime Drivers' Champion, Jarno Opmeer. Congratulations to the Renault driver for winning the championship and, of course, taking the Constructors' Championship along with it. In arguably what could argue as the most competitive grid that AOR has ever seen. And if next season should be even better. Despite that, Jarno starts the final race 79 points ahead of Hypers, which just shows how good of a driver he was this season, dominating the early stages and the mid stages of this season. We thank all the drivers who have participated in this league and have made myself and Jen's commentary much better. So thank you to all the drivers. And we have a new guest. We have a 3-man commentary team for tonight's final race here in Abu Dhabi. Jan Failer joins us in the commentary box.
Yes, hello everyone.
Yeah, let's get straight into things, Jens. What a season it's been. I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed commentating with you, even in PC F2, and obviously we've moved up into PC F1. Even though we've only commentated the half of the season, we've had a lot of good memories from the past few races, haven't we, Jens?
Yes, indeed. This season has been great commentating over, with these drivers not being afraid to go for any moves anywhere, even on the tracks you wouldn't really expect it. And that's why, even though this track is known for not being a track where overtaking is done very often, I'm still sure we'll see some tonight.
Yeah, and of course, we come off what was arguably the best race I've ever commentated on in Brazil. That was an ending and a half. And we could probably ramp about it for this whole qualifying session. It was that good. But during the process between Brazil and Abu Dhabi, a new patch to the F1 game has been unveiled. And the first thing you probably notice on the screen for all you viewers is that the track map has been added to the commentaries booth, so we can actually see where all the drivers are on track. Probably be a good use in qualifying, where we can see where drivers are more likely to finish their laps compared to others, where beforehand it was a little bit of a struggle. In the race, I don't think it would cause much use. I think the only use it will cause is we can see where a driver has retired when previously we couldn't. And also the safety car multiplier has apparently been increased. We've got more chances of seeing a safety car for incidents you probably expect. See a safety car, where previously mentioned, probably didn't come out. So that'll spice up the races even more. Obviously, we did have a safety car last time in Brazil, and we saw the outcome of that. If we have some of that tonight, I definitely wouldn't mind that. So then, as we head into the qualifying session, we do have 13 drivers. Thankfully, the top culprits, Jarno, Hypers, Danny, the last race winner. Failer, what are your thoughts on Jan? Obviously, you were his early teammate for this season. Just how good of a driver is he?
Oh, you can't find words to describe how good he is. I mean, I think we've all seen the performance that he put in the F1 Esports Series this year, and he just continued to prove how quick he is in AOR over and over again. I mean, he won 7 races this season. He's been a dominant champion, and yeah, his pace is just outrageous. And then it comes to the race, and then you see his racecraft, and it's amazing as well. He's going for moves everywhere. He's just a phenomenal driver.
And to be champion and over 70 points in this field is definitely an achievement in itself. And currently at the moment, he's the only driver yet to come out of the pit, still stuck in his garage as everyone's currently on their bank lap. A few giving slipstream down the back straight. At the moment, it is Napadovsky on provisional pole with a 133 flat. Probably will dip into the low 32s, I'd imagine, for pole position. Jan, do you think is that what drivers could achieve? Maybe dip into the 131s if some drivers perform a miracle.
I think 31 is only possible if you cut corners ridiculously and when it's not allowed. I think we'll dip well low into the 32s. I would guess 32.3 would be pole position. We'll see.
Alright then, Danny is actually on his flyer. I think he obviously did a bank lap, not happy with it, backed off 35.5. And we should be seeing most of the drivers on the soft compound of tyre. The strategy is probably a 2-stop was probably more optimal. But because if the drivers are good at tyre management, then they could maybe make the 1-stop work. But I think the 2-stop is probably the more ideal starting race strategy. Obviously starting on the softs and going on to mediums and then on to softs or mediums, depends how long you can make that middle stint work. As we head into the final 12 minutes qualifying session, I'm looking at Infamous, who's currently on his first flying lap in the Mercedes. He was in the Red Bull last time out. Yeah, 13 drivers, and he does pit indeed. So, yeah, some drivers, Anker also not happy with his first bank out. So, yeah, Napadovsky, not the person you expect to be on provisional pole at the moment. He's only just ahead of Michael, who won the race on track last time out, but I'm pretty sure he had that removed because Danny eventually took the win. Danny down in 10th place, and he's also into the pits as we head into 11 minutes to go.
And as you can see, currently most of the drivers are in the pits. A couple of drivers are about to come out of the pits now. As Leopard pits in, so I think Hyper's just left the pits, obviously going out for his second lap in this qualifying session, because most drivers choosing to go out early on and then do 1 or 2 more runs later on in the session.
It's interesting that it seems nobody uses the medium tires or goes for the medium tires in qualifying, so I guess softs are really favorable even if you have to, even if you want to do 1-stop, it seems to be possible then with the softs. Otherwise we would see people on hard by now saying to family laps and then going to mediums later on. It seems everyone's committing to the softs.
Maybe it's because we have rain. Probably not. Abu Dhabi. I remember in 2018 when there was a slight chance of rain. That did happen, but because Abu Dhabi is so hot, it got evaporated pretty quickly. We're not going to expect rain. We're just going to assume that the drivers are opting for the softs to start on because they are the more favourable tyre. Which Hypers is coming round to start his qualifying lap, as are Michael's now back out in the pits. Janu's still in the pits, and just under halfway distance here in qualifying, still fitting the hard tyres. So, yeah, I wonder if he's busy. He just waiting to the last moment to get his lap in. Maybe just, I'm assuming that. Else we would see him on track, because I would love to see how competitive he is for his final race of this season as champion. But gents, we go on board with someone for this qualifying lap. I reckon Hype is a good candidate.
Yeah, Hyper's currently coming through Sector 1 and now dipping into Sector 2, coming through that small chicane part down just before you go through the hairpin and then on to the first real long straight and the first DRS straight. of course, this is one of those tracks where they're under DRS straight on the start-finish straight, but it is located somewhere else on the track. Here, coming through the first DRS sector, the track narrows in towards the end, so you most likely won't see drivers go out all the way to the right at the first part, because the track, as I said, narrows in. Then he goes through the first chicane there, opens the DRS for the second run, and down through that small kink. Doesn't count as a corner, but it's still a place where you most likely will see drivers trying maybe to squeeze in a gap. Then another chicane there, takes that neatly then through the left-hander, through sector 3 now, before that double or almost triple right-hander coming through there, keeps it flat out and then hard braking into turn 17. Then a couple of 90-degree corners, turn 18, then turn 19, before he comes out into another double right-hander through there, then just passes the pit entrance and onto the start-finish straight and across the line for a time of a 1:33.2, improves marginally, but is not enough to close up to Michael or Napadovsky.
Danny's also back out on the hard tyres, so maybe, well, I mean, your stipulation, Jan, is completely gone out the window because Danny's completely obliterated that and he's gone out on the hard. So, rain, unfortunately, probably isn't going to happen. But interesting to see what time he could manage. Maybe that was that 1:35 on the it was on the softs indeed. So it was just a poor banker lap time. So this is his first attempt on the hard tyres. After the second run, though, as Michael comes across the line, he failed to improve. I think he's going once again. But Napadovsky still remains on that provisional pole. Obviously, Hype is now up into third. Presley fourth. Le Mans in fifth alongside Cardinov, who looks like he's getting a bit of benefit. Was that from Napadovsky? It was from Napadovsky. So the two Russian drivers really working together like comrades. Let's see if that DRS benefit and slipstream is going to improve Cardinov's second sector time. He's up by 1/10.5, but completely shatters that entrance to turn 11 there in the chicane. So I think his lap is pretty much done. As Speed Bari, marginally, the third driver to dip, or to go into the 33 flats. Obviously, we've seen how quick he is this season on the PS4 and PC platform. He's taken multiple front rows. But he could those second places turn into a pole position? Well, he's looking good so far, but we've still got 6 minutes to go this qualifying session. Drivers like Danny and Jarno are still yet to set a really competitive time. As Zusak crossed the line, that's Photon, I think, who just jumped above his teammate up into P5.
Yeah, Photon is actually in a bit of a battle in terms of the championship. I mean, P4 is, well, just off the podium, so to say, in the championship standings, but still, he's 3 points ahead of Philip Preschneider. And I was having a chat with Preschneider today, and yeah, he's willing to catch Photon now in the final race of the season, so he's eager. We could see a bit of battle there today on track. And also, fun fact, Preschneider and Hypers, I believe, are the only two drivers that actually managed to attend all the races this season. So shout out to them.
Bravo, that's a feat in itself, and obviously they've seen the benefits because Hypers is second in the championship, and Preslater is in fifth. Obviously, I know Preslater has a lot of bad luck compared to most drivers. Really, he could easily be sitting in third, potentially fourth. We could find out after this race. But yeah, you're talking about championship standing. Obviously, Jarno is the champion by 79 points. That's been over for a long time. But after Danny's recent 2 wins out of 2, he's put the pressure on Hypers for that second place. He's only 12 points behind. So, Hypers needs to make sure he gets a very decent result. He did get a decent result last time out. If that repeats itself, he gets third and Danny wins, he will just about snatch that second place in the championship, which I'm sure will mean a lot to him, despite the fact Danny has missed quite a few races. Pretty sure I missed 3 or 4 in a row at the start of this season. probably due to esports commitments, but he's still shown us why he is arguably one of the quickest drivers in the world right now. His Hungarian compatriot Photon has unfortunately left the session with 4 minutes to go. The time is taken for him to get back into the session. We hope he can to keep the drivers at 13. Elsewhere battles. It's been a battle for P7/8, although Simon is holding that P7, and obviously Alvaro Carlton is holding the P8. They haven't attended for quite a while. But Michael, after a second place, has jumped up 2 places. He's ahead of Leopard, who's ahead of Napadovsky, and they're only 10 points in between each other. So that's going to be a spicy battle for that 8th place. Or maybe potentially might even jump up above Simon or Alvaro Carlton at least. So a lot of developments, even though the championship's over, there's still a lot of places to be won and lost in the championship standings.
Currently we're seeing Napadovsky about to start his flying lap as he almost stopped there in sector 3. Maybe he's having some trouble heating up his tyres. He just let Michael pass there as Michael now starts his flying lap. He will be able to make another flying lap if he doesn't make this perfect, but that will then be unused tyres because he won't be having time to go back into the pits. So this will probably be his final flying lap unless we are seeing some fabulous time on a set of used soft tyres. He's coming through the hairpin, about to head on to the first DRS straight as he opens the DRS there. Interestingly, he was let by Napadovsky there in sector 3, as I mentioned. Napadovsky almost stopping the car completely. He was maybe hoping that he could just jump on behind him and get a slipstream pull, but now he's getting that from, I think that's Codemasters just behind. But Michael now opens the DRS for the second straight, coming down to that second small chicane and then heading into sector 3 now. Brakes between that 100 meter and 50 meter board and through the chicane, taking that quite neatly, not skidding out towards the end of that and keeping the car in a straight line. Then through the triple right-hander, keeping it flat out and hard braking into the 90-degree corner section. Some yellow flags, can't quite see why, there weren't really any indication on that track map. But then Michael coming up the final 2 corners, first right-hander, second right-hander, was a bit squeamish in the first one, but coming across the line now, he doesn't improve. Let's see Napadovsky coming behind. Napadovsky improves 132.8, sets a new fastest lap. Michael now retires from the session, doesn't feel like he can improve. And behind, who will be the next driver to cross the line? I think that maybe, that was just starting his lap. The same did Hypers there. I think that is Infamous. He is coming into sector 3 now, coming through that triple right-hander, keeping it again flat out. He is in 0 ERS, so it does look like he's going to save it all. And jumped around a bit there. I think he's having some connection issues. Yeah. But now let's then jump on board with Formula Danny, overtake him there. Danny coming through the final sector now, the first of the double right-hander, passing the pit entrance, then the second right-hander. What time will he be able to put in as he comes downhill there? Only enough for 9th place for now, but he set the time on medium tyres and has immediately backed off, so he won't be setting a new time. Janos just started his flying lap on the hard tyres. Speed bar, he comes across the line now for a 132.6, a new fastest lap. But who will be able to take the final fastest lap, as that's pressure coming across the line? Lemon in 8th. Who will be the next driver? I think that'll be Cardinov coming into that final of the 3rd sector onto that small straight just before the double right-hander. What time will he be able to set on the soft tyres? New soft tyres he is on. Downhill there, in over the line and up to 3rd place he goes. Who will be the next driver? I think that's Anker coming through the final corner. He has backed off. Who's behind him? That's Hypers. Hypers putting it into 4th place. Behind them, who's out there still? Infamous is still going good coming into the final sector. A couple of drivers retiring now, not feeling that they can get anything more out of the car after they've set in their final laps. Now, Infamous coming through the final part of the lap. He hasn't set a lap time yet. He's down into 12th place. He is on a used set of soft tyres, unfortunately for him, but I'm sure that he'll make them to good use. He's coming through the first of the right-handers there, then the second one. What will he be able to produce as he comes down the hill there? Whoa, almost gets completely out of shape, but up into 5th place he goes, although he messed it up almost in the last corner. Leopard across the line for 11th place. What will Jarno be able to do? Comes across the line for a 12th place.
I gotta say, that track map was so handy. Before, we were just guessing who was next across the line. I gotta say, wow, that was... it is nice to see that Codemasters are implementing things to improve the experience for us commentaries, as well as improving the experience for a driver. But that speed bar, I did say, he's been second place in the last 2 races. He turned it into a pole position. But it's a Russian 2 and 3. With Hypers settling into 4th. Infamous, very decent lap considering I thought he'd lost it on the final corner. Michael, once in 2nd, now down into 6th. Photon, unfortunately, didn't get to the line in time after he disconnected. Presnade at 8th, Lamont in 9th, and Danny will start on those mediums that he set his qualifying time on. I thought, Jarno, I didn't even think Jarno was going to come out. I think he was just going to take that championship approach and just start from the back. Well, he kind of is. He's only ahead of one other driver. I think that was Anchor. I can't fully remember who was it. Yeah. So he's got work to do in the race, but we know how quick he is. So we'll see if he can overtake some drivers. I'm assuming he's going to start on the hard tyres, considering he did set his lap on them. Obviously, he has free choice, as do the other 2 drivers who are outside the top 10. But yeah, let's get into the final race of this season. A new pole sitter, a new front row driver as well, Napadovsky. So I can't wait to see how this unfolds.
Now, as the drivers are just spawning in for the formation lap for one final time this season. Looking like they're all getting off the line quite nicely there, going on for the next 28 laps. Let's see what tyres they're starting on. I believe that my things are correct. So the top 9 starts on the soft tyres. Danny and Leopard in 10th and 11th starts on the mediums, and Yana and Anka down in 12th and 13th starts on the hard tyres.
So I assumed correctly that Jarno is indeed. So I wonder how many laps those hards can go. Obviously, he needs to keep it clean on the first few laps. But I don't know how clean or cautious Jarno is going to be, really. We know how much of a racer mentality he has. So we'll see if he can make some moves. Yeah, Danny, interesting to start on the mediums that he set his qualifying time on. Does he know a strategy we don't? Jan, do you know what the optimal strategy is? I thought it was a soft medium, but...
Oh, I don't know what the optimal strategy is. I guess we'll find out. I know that one stop is possible, but I guess you would have to go from mediums to hard, so I guess the soft runners would use the 2-stop, but we'll see.
I mean, the pit lane is more unique than any other pit lane, where it goes underneath the circuit. Could cause drivers some havoc, but I think these drivers are competent enough to not crash in the pit lane, like we've seen some of the drivers do. But they could prove us wrong. They have proved us wrong in the past. But for one final time, these 13 drivers are getting set. Speed Barry, I'm not 100% sure on his record on the PS4 side of things, but it's his first PC pole position of his season 18. Can he turn it into his first PC win of the season? I'm sure likes of Napadovsky, Kardanov, Hypers, and all the rest will have something to say about that. Jarno, the championship winner, in 12th place. Let's see what progress he can make as he slots into his grid spot, and we can go racing as we gear up for the 5 red lights for one final time here in Abu Dhabi, and we are underway with a decent start, not incredible from Speed Barry. Napadowski's on his inside through turn 1, but can't make anything of that. Hyper's going wheel to wheel with Cardinov as they all slice their way through turn 1, 2, and into the swooping right-hander of turn 3. Everyone's got through unscathed, it seems. Yano's made up one place at the start. No real changes at the front. As we look at the position changes, Danny's making moves already as he head into the hairpin now. They're going to be side by side throughout the field. Bibari got a perfect start. Napadowski settling in second place as they all stream down the main long back straight, heading down towards the first chicane. We'll be only overtaking down into there. Michael's getting a moving under braking potentially in towards this chicane we go now. Infamous and Michael going wheel to wheel. The McLaren's getting very racy, barges the Mercedes off the track there. But Infamous is still trying to hang on in there, but Michael with the better traction out of the chicane manages to hold on. But will Infamous try down the inside? It's very risky on the opening lap. He just about managed to get through that chicane unscathed. They could have easily gone into contact there as Photon and Danny are going wheel to wheel. Also, the 2 Hungarian drivers, Danny only made up one place at the start. Jarno's only made up one place at the start. Michael's only made up one place at the start. No one has made up more than one position. Thankfully, for Speed Barry's case, Napadowski hasn't made up a position at the start. As Speed Barry continues to lead, it's already trying to pull that gap.
It's already up to 0.8 of a second now, stretching it to 0.9 almost. And he'll soon be outside the second, which will be terrible for Napadowski, because once you're outside that second, you are just going to be under pressure from the drivers behind, and the likes of Cardinov and Hypers will be ready to just pounce on him once he loses the DRS off Speed Bari. As I know the timing says he's only 0.3 away, but it does look a bit further.
Yeah, as we approach the second straight, I don't think Cardinov will be close enough to challenge on this straight. DRS has not been enabled and won't be until the next lap. His Photon, no, the soundboards are still not yet ready to perform well, but Photon is actually under pressure from Danny. Up the inside, the Alfa Romeo goes, and now he's made up a place. 8th place he goes, cuts the chicane for good measure, but I think that is allowed. Photon might come back at him. With the better tyres at the start, he tries to go around the outside. Danny showing his intent, going towards the inside. Obviously wants to keep this 8th position, and I think he's done just enough. Squeezes Photon out of room. There's a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, but nothing more in that. I think they've shown a lot of respect to each other, and the last thing they wanted to do is collide with each other and end each other's races on lap 2. So Danny making good progress at the start, but obviously he's a few seconds behind the next driver after battling away with Photon. Presnader and his Mercedes compatriot Infamous is the next drivers Danny will look to chase after as we end lap 2. And will the time boards sort themselves out? I think they have, and Napadowski is 1.3 seconds away from Speed Bari, so when the DRS section zone comes in, he will definitely not be getting that benefit. Cardinov's a little bit too far behind, but he couldn't make up time through the hairpin and the chicane before they go onto the straight, the challenge for an attack. But he's got quite a lot of cars behind. Hypers, Michael, Infamous and Presnader all within a second of each other. Danny actually needs to get a move on and get it just about get outside of DRS range with Photon. I don't think he's managed to do so, but Photon actually looks like he's going to be more under threat from Le Mans behind rather than trying to attack Danny. Onto the back straight we go though. And no, Cardinov is not close enough to Napadowski for the time being. The two Russians are settling into their rhythm. I don't think these two, I think these two get on very well. I don't think these two want to ruin their race with each other, but they're going to be competitive on the final race of the season. Let's see. Can Cardinov get past? No, he'll be too brave a man to dive down the inside there and sensibly backs off. I'm waiting for the first punches from the top drivers. Speed Bari though looks really comfortable at the moment, and Napadowski is just trying to reel him in, but he just can't do anything. Speed Bari just looks so much comfortable through these low speed corners, as Jarno's actually been overtaken by Leopard. Unsurprising given he's on the hard compounded tyres. His race will come towards the end. I think his best bet really at the moment is just to settle in and just avoid penalties, which is hard. Compatriot Anka actually hasn't. He's the first driver on to pit, as Michael is already in the pit on lap 3.
That's very early compared to that. We have 28 laps. What time will he goes on to the mediums? So maybe you have the strategy call of the softs to mediums and then softs or mediums at the end. Maybe you've got that right. At least Michael seems to think that's the right strategy call to make. As now looking for the top of the field, Codemasters with 4/10 of a second up to Nabadovsky, opens the DRS. Maybe he'll have him into the first chicane. I think he's close enough. Oh, he thought about it for a moment but pulled out in the last second. Wisely waits for the next straight so Nabadovsky doesn't get any DRS. But there, he picks himself up a 3-second time penalty as he just sat behind there. But he opens the DRS again. Will he go for the move? No, sticks behind for now. Interesting that he chose to do that instead of just going for that second place. But further behind, we're seeing squabbling between Le Mans and Photon for that 8th place.
You know my theory behind Michael pitting so early? I think it's to get a bit of clean air and avoid battling in the early stages. Yeah, that's my theory. Obviously, I'm not a racer. Jan, you are. Would you be inclined to agree that he wants a bit of clean air, maybe undercut them? Probably going to undercut them because they are going to be battling.
Pits and Speed Ori, Hypers and Infamous.
Go on, Jan.
Yeah, I was just about to say that with his very early pit stop, he's probably going to trigger all the other guys to come in immediately because the undercut is quite massive on this track because tire temperatures tend to rise. And with all these technical corners, you just need that extra grip that you get from those fresh tires. Oops, that was a bit of a moment in the pits. So yeah, I expect Marmonides to just overtake everyone he was battling.
Well, let's see, because Michael is coming out of the pits. You can speed Barry out to the left-hand side. And you know what? He's done it. He's done the undercut successfully. One more lap and he would have taken the provisional lead of this race. So very smart thinking for Michael to get a bit of clean air for that undercut, get a decent outlap in, and he sees the benefit of being ahead of all the drivers he once was behind, and he's got DRS from Speed Bari. Could he challenge the Alfa Romeo down into this chicane? I don't think he can, and he doesn't. But yeah, very smart decision from Michael, and let's see if he can feel even more benefit and get past Speed Bari as they approach turn 11. I don't think he'll be close enough to make a move, and he isn't. Further behind, Napadowski's got ahead of Cardinov, and Hypers is now behind with Infamous, Le Mans, and Photon making up the rear of the field. And everyone who has pitted is on the medium tyres. And the last one, who was on the soft, to pit is Presnade. Obviously, unfortunately, he obviously is Infamous's teammate for this race, and obviously Infamous was ahead of him, so decided to brave it out for one more lap instead of being held up for quite a few seconds. He'll probably come out behind all of these drivers, probably in a region around Le Mans and Photon, as Michael indeed sets the fastest lap of this race as we approach lap 6. Danny now leads this Grand Prix quite comfortably from Leopard. Jano's got back within DRS range of the Haasman, as Presneda comes out just behind his teammate actually, so I thought he would have lost a bit more time, but that in-lap seemed to not be so bad. But let's look at Michael, let's see if he can do anything against Speed Bari as they approach the DRS and go down towards the straight at around 200 miles an hour. Before he slams on the brakes, nothing he can do there, nothing anyone can do out there. Actually, no, Presneda's got past his teammate. So, looks like Infamous just let him through there without any sort of pain, with teammates fighting. Unless he has a DRS now. Can he maybe challenge Presneda down in towards this Sector 3? I think he actually will do, you know, Presneda with the inside line. Infamous tries to hang it around the outside, and I think he'll do it, but they go wheel to wheel very close, and in fact, Infamous actually went off the track there in trying to get past his teammate, but the Slovakian declined that offer, and obviously wants to be, obviously has been in that Mercedes cockpit for the entire of this season, and wants to show who's boss, even though these guys technically aren't teammates. Infamous is just a reserve driver for the last 2 races of the season, but nice to see some decent racing, and thankfully no retirements or damage from any of that.
Now looking up towards Michael and the guys that will be in the provisional lead once the early, medium and hard runners go into the pits. We have Cardinov with a 4/10 gap up to Nabadovsky. Then Michael's fallen a bit behind Speed Barry, now 8/10 up to him. But they will both have DRS on Speed Barry and Nabadovsky respectively. Michael not able to catch up enough to go for a move into the first chicane. What about Cardinov behind? No, he's not able to do so either. What about on the second DRS straight? Let's see Michael with a 4/10 gap in that slipstream with that DRS wide open. He pulls to the left hand side but doesn't go for the move. He's a bit too far behind. What about Cardinov? He's a bit too far behind as well. So none of the drivers ahead up here in 7th or 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th able to go for the moves into the different chicanes.
I think Michael's best chance of getting past Speed Barry is right here. Well, I mean, when Speed Barry approaches slower drivers, for example Anka, who doesn't seem to be that happy with his hard tyres, might do his teammate a favour here. But I don't think he'll be too much trouble for Speed Barry. But when they come up to the likes of Yarno or potentially Leopard, but I think the medium runners will be in before Speed Barry and Michael will get anywhere close to them. But I think this is Michael's best chance. If Anka just holds up Speed Barry for enough time, heck, we could even see a 3 wide moment if all plans out for Michael. But as they enter the hairpin, Anka obviously didn't get a very good exit. Speed Barry did, and now the Alfa Romeo has DRS and he can breeze past the McLaren. I'm sure Michael will follow suit. He will. He breezes past his teammate. Is he going to challenge in towards turn 8? No. But what about into this hairpin? Was Speed Barry startled by having to overtake someone? Will he feel or will he lose position in towards turn 11? Yeah, actually, Michael is given the inside line. Speed Barry not even just letting him through. No real signs of resilience there. And he gets a penalty to add to good measure, as does Anka. I'm very intrigued by why Speed Barry didn't really decide to defend that. He just gifted Michael, albeit not at the lead at the moment, but in theory the lead. 4th place at the moment, but when the top 3 pits, he will inherit that lead of the race. So again, I'm not 100% sure why Speed Barry decided against fighting Michael. Maybe he doesn't want to lose much time. But at least both of them ahead of Anka, and Anka will have more pain to come as he slides up the final corner because he has Cardinov and Napadovsky and Hypers and Presnader and Infamous closely behind. Speaking of which, Cardinov has actually got ahead of Napadovsky. That's what we haven't seen at the moment. So good move from Toro Rosso. He's in a provisional 3rd place as it stands.
I think the reason for Speed Barry to let Michael go is just to save some ERS for the later stage of the race. Michael obviously was able to save his DRS behind Speed Barry in the DRS slipstream all the time. And I think now, since they have Mr. Anka between them and the next car that is racing them effectively, obviously Mr. Anka hasn't pitted yet, he thought it is a safe thing to just let him go and save some ERS behind him to have maybe more towards the end of the race when it's getting important, so to say.
Very true. Speed Barry only has 50% ERS compared to Michael with 65. You mentioned Anka, and he's being swallowed up first by Cardinov, next by Napadovsky, and I'm sure Hypers will get past. He's just looked so uncomfortable on these hard tyres. Gets barged out of the way by Hypers. That's 3 past. Will it be 4? Yeah. and surely will be 5 in the next coming stages. So Anka really not feeling any sort of benefit from these hards. And he might have to come in for an early pit stop as Yarn now gets his first 3-second time penalty. Yeah, Jens, I'm counting on you to continue doing the penalties for this race, because I think, judging off past experience, there might be a few results also due to the penalty situation.
Well, I appreciate you counting on me, but I think you've chosen the wrong race. I haven't been able to write much down about the penalties due to the very interesting fight between Michael and Speed Bari. So
Right, fair enough. We'll let the game do it itself.
Yeah, we'll of course find out at the end where the positions will turn out, and sometimes that's even where they are finally after the drivers have appealed those penalties, so that's not final either. So let's just let them race for now, and let's see at the end of the race what will happen in terms of the penalties. I think that's the best thing to do for now, at least.
Because Anka has already picked up 2 3-second time penalties, and we're nowhere near half distance, so add insult to injury for the Finnish driver. He's once again not looking too sweet for any sort of points in the final race. But yeah, Jarno got a penalty a few moments ago. He's still stuck behind Leopard. He's only about 3.5 seconds behind Danny, which isn't too bad considering the tyre difference. Danny is just controlling his pace, obviously just acting like this. He's in clean air, he can fully maximise those medium tyres. Oh dear, Anka, that's his 3rd penalty of the evening. That's the driver high I've been counting on. Oh, well. Very unfortunate, you could say, for his final race. But yeah, back to Jarno. I think he's just sufficient, just staying behind Leopard, getting his DRS, because we know his race will come at the latter stages when he eventually pits at the very end. So we will look out for him, as we have done for the whole entire season. But Michael's only 2.6 seconds behind Jarno. So I wonder if these two, Michael and Speed Bari, are going to try and catch up to Jarno. I think Speed Bari is actually going to try and attempt to get past Michael. He saved enough VRS, and there he goes, through with the inside line, and he's breezing past Michael. And Michael, once again, like Speed Bari a few laps ago, giving him the racing line. But I think that was because he wanted DRS in the second straight. And here's why. Because he has the DRS to boot, and there he goes through, up into 4th place he goes. He takes that position back, places switched, and then switched again. Michael doing enough to keep Speed Bari at bay, but Speed Bari, if Michael makes a mistake, Speed Bari will be first to pounce on it. At the moment, Michael sufficient enough to Speed Bari's attacks.
Hype has just got swallowed up by both the Mercedes. One went past in the second straight, the other one went past in the other straight, the second DR straight. I don't know if he has some damage but he's definitely struggling.
Yes, that is a fair point you're coming up with there. Currently looking at his front wing, it doesn't look like he has any damage. But interestingly, that he isn't able to keep up with the likes of Nabadovsky and Cardinov. And then, I would have imagined falling out of the DRS range, and then those 2 Mercedes drivers would have been able to get past him quite easily on those straights. But interesting from there, but let's just keep an eye on Speed Bari and Michael. These two are fighting hard, but still in doing so catching up to Jarno and Leopard. But Speed Bari with the DRS now, up into overtake DRS mode, dives it down the inside before the braking zone has even begun, and I think he's gotten it, getting some weird camera angles there, but yes, he has gotten it, coming into the first chicane there. But look at that, that's Jarno up ahead, right there, within a second. And that means that Speed Bari now has the DRS, which means that Michael isn't able to catch up quite as much. So these two drivers now, coming with the pace they've got on the medium tyres, able to catch up to the hard tyre runners and the 2 guys starting on the medium tyres. And further...
So I'm intrigued because will Jarno fight the two drivers behind? Will and obviously he's obviously got one hand in front of him, one hand looking back. One eye was. Forget it, it's the last race of the season. Obviously he's trying to get past Leopard for so many laps now. Can't be able to do it. You would assume with the pace advantage that Spivari has, he'd be breezed past Jarno. But Leopard's tyres surely don't have a lot more life to give. You would assume, and you might assume this is the time that the hard tyres start to be better than the soft. You can see Danny just ahead. Only 2 seconds it is, so they're not even. Spivari isn't even far off his teammate. That's how quick these two drivers have been. But I wonder if these two get held up. Napadowski isn't too far away. Only 1.2 seconds. He doesn't get the DRS. But here comes Jarno, going wheel to wheel with Leopard. He'll get sold up by Spivari as well with a Haasman. But Jarno gets through, as does Spivari. Michael tries to get past, but I think we'll get the switchback on the Haasman and we'll get past with the DRS that Leopard still does have. Let's have a look at Spivari. Can he get past Jarno? Look how defensive Jarno is getting. Obviously showing his tide of return. He may be at a severe disadvantage, but he's still going to place his car like an absolute, well, like a champion really. Just showing how great of a driver he can be, whether it be on fresh new softs or even old aging hard tyres. Spivari tries to move, but Sector 3 really isn't optimal. Again, they're just losing time. And Napadowski is now within a second of the driver in front, so it might not be much considering he's 2 or 3 cars behind Spivari. But yeah, Jarno holding up the packet, but while still catching up to Danny. The gap's just less than a second now. Let's see if Spivari can get past as soon as possible. He'd ideally want to get past him probably before the DRS straight, if he can. But it's very unlikely. Maybe into the hairpin and a late lunge, but when you're a driver at this position, provisional the lead of the race, I don't think that's a risk he'd want to take. But yeah, let's see, into this hairpin that we come now. Michael's right on the chuff of Spivari. Spivari, he thought about it, but realised again it wasn't the optimal move because they now have DRS as Napadowski has passed Leopard into that hairpin. Jarno, I think, might get overtaken twice here in succession. There goes Spivari, and there goes Michael through, and Jarno just completely goes off the throttle because he knows that's not his fight at this current moment. But it might be at the end of the race. Who knows? We'll have to find out as half distance approaches. Michael's getting close to Spivari. Will he challenge the Alfa Romeo into turn 11? Made a dark left, made a dark right, but stays behind the Alfa Romeo. And it's Alfa Romeo 1-2 at the moment. Danny still yet to pit, and I'm assuming he'll just let his teammate through. Or we might even pit at this lap. I think this might be the time that mediums start to go off. And we've already seen Leopard's demise. I wonder if Danny will come into the pits before holding up his teammate.
Yeah, Lehmann already has pitted for the second time this race, obviously from mediums to another set of mediums, so expect people to come in now. Also, Cardinov had a bit of a moment there coming out of the hairpin. I don't know if he made a driver error or if he had a moment with someone else, but he was heading towards the barrier. He has no damage, but he fell down.
Spivari and Michael pits.
Oh.
Sorry to interrupt there. And Michael hits the back end of Spivari. Maybe that has induced some damage on his front wing. Ooh, that's not the greatest if he has to go in and change front wing. Yes, he has. That's not good on him for that. Maybe he was brake checked a bit too much there, but that means that Formula Danny can stay in the lead for now, at least on 14 laps old medium tyres. He's just been able to stay out and control his tyre wear.
No, Jarno's DRS on him.
Yes, he has, coming from behind on those hard tyres, but still a bit too big of a gap for Jarno to do anything into the first chicane. Well, what about on the second DRS straight as they come on now past the detection point, and Jarno getting it without a doubt. Down towards the second chicane, but still doesn't have enough speed and isn't close enough to go for any moves into there.
The battle of the two drivers that didn't really battle in Brazil. They more just tagged each other along, obviously, but these two arguably have been the quickest two drivers we've seen this season. and they are currently 1 and 2 for the time being. Although, to be fair, considering now that Speed Barry is pitted, I think the wise move from Danny would come into the pits on this lap. He's carrying on? Wow.
So was Jarno.
I'd expect Jarno to continue on the hards. Leopard continues as well. So fair kudos to Leopard and Danny for making these mediums last longer than I even thought. Surely they're not trying to last it out to go onto the softs. Surely not. I think the soft's lifespan is around 8 laps max. I don't think that'll be possible, but it's Danny. We never know. As Jarno, yeah, you can just see, just nudges the back of former Danny there. And look, there's Presnader in the battle as well. Presnader obviously has pitted, the top two haven't. And there goes Jarno. We're going to see a 3-wide moment, it looks like. There they go, Danny giving each other space. There goes Presnader around the outside of Jarno Otmir. Presnader wants to be battling these three, probably next season for better stakes. At the moment it's a P1 when it might not be P1 at the end of the race. But here comes Jarno fighting back on the Mercedes, and he now re-overtakes the Slovakian. And now he, from arguably, well, from 12th at the start, he now takes over the lead of the Grand Prix on those hard tyres. So, I thought he'd be at first at one stage, but I didn't think he'd do it by overtaking a few drivers. I thought he'd just do it based on those hard lasting more than all the other tyres, but he proves us wrong once again. That's the magic of Jarno Otmir. But will he pit this lap? Got a few more corners to find out, but Presnader is attacking his rear end through these final few corners. There he goes into the pits, and Danny comes in as well.
Presnader does the same. So all of the top 3 came into the pits on this lap. Leopard, interestingly, carries on 16 laps old medium tyres. Further behind we have Mr. Anker carry on as well, 15 laps old hard tyres for him.
Danny's going on the softs.
Ooh, that's going to be a tall order if he wants to keep those soft tyres going to the end. Maybe he's going for a 2-stop. I wouldn't quite get it at this late of a stage to go into the pits. It's actually infamous, and Anker is fighting up into 4th place. Wasn't even aware of that fight. I was just casually on board with Anker, but they're infamously easily taking it down the inside of him. Anker really struggling on his hard tyres now. But looking back at Danny now, on those soft tyres, it's going to be 12 laps to the end for him on those tyres. I don't think that's doable.
But it's Danny.
Well, yes, it is Danny. We've seen stranger things.
I'm sure if he manages those tyres and doesn't battle that much, he could make it. But in order to progress with the field, he's going to have to battle. So it's your choice, Danny. If you want to make those tyres last, well, then again, what am I to say? I'm a commentator, not a league racer. Danny is clearly 1,000 times better than me, and some more. So he obviously has the experience of knowing how long those softs last. But with those softs being much quicker than the mediums, obviously he's catching up to the medium runners ahead of him, like Kuipers, like Presnader, and like Jarno Otmir, who's now into 7th position. So he's looking really good, and with much fresher tyres compared to everyone else ahead of him. 3 laps on Le Mans, and 2 laps on Infamous and Michael and Napadovsky and Speed Bari. Leopard's still continuing, so I definitely think he is going on to the softs as well. But again, fair play. He's made those tyres last a hell of a long time. Let's see if he can reap the rewards at the end, if he can make those softs do some work. But yeah, back in the battle for 2nd place, Speed Bari is still comfortably ahead of Napadovsky, but Jarno is making his first move on these new set of tyres, and Le Mans has been eclipsed. Obviously, I did mention how Jarno has got 3 laps fresher tyres compared to the Red Bull driver, and I think, well, he's obviously got past, and I think Presnader might get past too. No, I think Le Mans got done enough to get the DRS and then got enough straight line speed to keep the Mercedes at bay. Up into P6 goes Jarno. But I wonder how many more places he can make up in this race.
As further down the field, we're seeing a bit of fighting between Hypers and Danny. Danny beginning to really get into the groove on his soft tyres, catching up to this train of that goes all the way from. Oh wow, that's a dive and a half. Wow, as Danny just shoves Hypers off the track as he dove down the inside of the final corner, now into the first corner, dives it down the inside and gets the place. Quite aggressive driving from Danny there, coming, finishing lap 18 and going on to lap 19. He really wants to get past the drivers here and not being stuck in this dirty air and getting his tyres warmed up. But now coming up to Preshnader and then Lemon in 6th and 7th. With the DRS, Preshnader going to get the move on Lemon. What about Danny? Danny getting it first on Lemon, up into 7th. Will he go for the move on Preshnader into the chicane? No, sticks behind for now, but I'm sure that he'll be thinking of going for the move into the next corner, as he'll get the DRS, and Preshnader won't get it from Jarno. He's a bit too far away from him. So Danny now with the DRS, with the quicker tyres, goes down the inside and gets that move done quite easily, and is now just 1.7 seconds away from Jarno, who's up in 5th place, Danny in 6th.
Look at the ERS he's got, it's 13%. Surprising how he managed to make all those moves work, really, considering how little ERS he's got. He's going to have to do some ERS management. But that was a bit of deja vu, wasn't it, gents? From Brazil, Danny just slicing his way through the field like he did on the final few laps. Thankfully for him, he's got a bit more time to make some more moves. And the next one on the pecking list is Jarno, who obviously we've seen time and time again, he will obviously not give in. So I think Danny's job will be much more harder, but he has to get up to Jarno, who's equally catching up to drivers himself, like Infamous and Michael, in the battle for 3rd place. Everyone is now pitted and probably should go to the end of the race. So yeah, Jarno's in an official 5th at the moment, without penalties including. And at the end of the race, let's see how where the champion finishes up. Obviously, would love to end the season on a high note. Podium maybe. Yeah, but the drivers in front of him are on the podium at the moment. Michael, he's battling away with Infamous. He's doing a very decent job on his 2nd race here on the PC platform. Can't quite get that podium position at the moment. Michael doing a decent enough job. And you know, if Michael didn't have to change that front wing, where would he be? I mean, he's 4 and a bit seconds behind Speed Bari, which he was battling with. So he wouldn't have to deal with Infamous if he didn't have to change that front wing. But obviously, that didn't happen. I think it was, as you mentioned, Jens, when he hit the back of Speed Bar in the pits. So, yeah, rookie mistake potentially. Well, regardless, he obviously is in 3rd place, but would rather be a bit further ahead than he is at the moment.
Yes, now he has to watch out not to come under too much pressure from Infamous. Of course, Michael doesn't have any DRS, so it would be quite an easy move for Infamous getting the better speed, but coming from behind, the likes of Jarno will be able to pounce if these drivers make any mistakes trying to overtake each other, and behind that, Formula Danny will come on his soft tyres, so you'll have to watch out for the overtakes he's making. But 0.4 of a second up to Michael, opens the DRS. I think he will be able to go for the move if he wants to. He can dive it, but he chooses to stick behind. For now, Jarno just falling out of the DRS range there for a second, but I think he's gone back in. Jarno actually only has 4% of ERS, going down to 3% now, so he is quite low. And behind, I can't imagine Danny being on anything much higher. Let me just have a look. He's on 11, the same as Jarno. So those two have just put on and used their ERS and possibly also their tyres, so as they've tried to catch up to these better points paying positions.
Danny got a second penalty as well. I think it's a second penalty. Let me just double check. Yes, it was. So that doesn't smell good for Danny at the moment, but he's still carrying on. If I was him, I would just ignore not ignore the penalty. Obviously, try to stick within the track limits, but focus more on just driving at your best. Just try and catch up to the other drivers. This race, obviously, he'd love to finish on a high, but well, to be fair, he's still in theory in a battle with Hypers, but he needs to outscore him by 13 more points, and being 1 in 6 or 1 in 8, that would only be 4 points. So quite a lot more work to do for Danny, even excluding the penalties that he has at the moment. At the front, you can just Napadowski is getting really close to Speed Barry actually in the last few laps. They've just been tagging each other along, but I think Napadowski is finally trying to mount an attack on the Alfa Romeo driver, but unfortunately a little too far behind. What about Infamous? Too far behind. What about Le Mans? He's too far behind. Presney too far behind. So everyone's just, you know, a lot of drivers are within DRS range of each other, but I think the sensible tactic is to possibly just save a bit of ERS and then, well, wait when the opportunity arises, because there will be an opportunity at the end of the day, at the end of the race. We should assume to get a pass. So it's up to the drivers really when they're going to make their moves. Napadowski needs to make sure that also the drivers need to make sure they need to stick within DRS range of the driver in front, especially for Infamous's case, because if he isn't, Jarno's right behind him. And to be honest, if I was in a race, the last person I would want right behind me, eager to make a move, is Jarno Opmeer. So, yeah, scary thoughts for Infamous, but he's still carrying on, doing very decently in his second race on the PC platform, and at the moment is in 4th position.
Is now looking at the front. Napadowski 6/10 up to Speed Barry. I don't think he'll be going for any moves into the first chicane behind. What about Infamous? He's close to Michael. Michael doesn't have DRS, of course, but chooses to just stay behind. Further behind, Preshnia not close enough to go for any moves. Le Mans isn't close enough either. What about Kardanov? Not close enough either. So these drivers just in this train in this major kind of like blocks where they aren't really close enough to go for any moves. As I'm saying that, Preschneider went for the move there on Formula Danny, but Danny defends well there, keeps his 6th place, but has lost a heap of time to Jarno Opmeer in 5th place. Not the best for him, as he was just in that DRS range and following Jarno along there a bit, but now he has a 1.7 second gap up to him with just about 6 laps to go. Actually just about 5 laps as they're about to cross the line.
Danny's dropped off from, well, I mean, yeah, he was battling with Presneda, but I think that soft strategy isn't really panning out the way he would have thought or imagined. He isn't gaining enough time. I mean, yes, he does have Presneda right behind him, giving him more than enough pressure, but if I was Danny, I mean, I would hope I would be right behind Jarno, potentially even past him, but not to be, and I think he might actually be overtaken by Presneda as they now go side by side down the long back straight. Danny, a bit of a weave movement, maybe showing his unhappiness potentially at Presneda. Potentially what happened in the last move might not have been to the Hungarians' content, but after being overtaken on the pass straights, he now might re-overtake Presneda, who aggressively moves to the right-hand side to block Danny off. Is that going to stop Danny? It is. So Presneda defensively aware, keeping the Alfa Romeo behind. I know these two have a bit of history, The incident that springs to mind is Singapore season 17 I should say. I'm pretty sure, but yeah, Presnida very aggressive defending and does not want to let Danny go easily. But now he's up into 6th place. Could he potentially challenge Jarno? I doubt it. 2 laps to go. Well, 3 laps to go. 3 and a bit laps to go. And 2 seconds to gain. So it looks pretty unlikely on that counterpart. But yeah, 3 laps to go this season, or 4 laps if you discount the first sector. That has been eclipsed by most of the drivers. What a season it's been! It's been full of surprises, but and an even bigger surprise is that Speed Bari at the moment leads this Grand Prix from Napadovsky. The only real race I've seen Napadovsky this competitive is back in Singapore, and it could be on course for a win if he gets past Speed Bari. Yeah, and we're pretty much guaranteed a new race winner if one of these two win. So that'll be a great end to the season, but we've still got 3 laps to go. So Michael could somehow perform a miracle and win this race. Infamous and Jarno as well, still right in contention. As the battle for 3rd place intensifies, there goes Infamous. Had a little look, so did Jarno, but Michael, aware to both of their attacks, stays in 3rd position. And I just wonder when Napadovsky is going to make this move. If he's going to make this move, maybe does Speed Bari have a penalty, or am I?
Yes. Spoiler alert: he has a penalty indeed, and Napadovsky doesn't. Speed Bari is actually close to getting a 2nd penalty, so Napadovsky is effectively leading the race right now.
Thank you, Race Director Jan. That's very useful to know. Okay, so that's maybe why Napadovsky isn't challenging. Sensible, because if they did challenge and battle, then they would lose time to the drivers behind. I think Napadovsky's very, very happy to just sit behind Speed Bari and in just in 3 laps time take his first AOR win in the PC Tier 1 platform and his first victory since, oh god, somewhere in Tier... I know he started this season in Season 18 with a win in Tier 2. I'm pretty sure he only won 1 race in Tier 2. But to end it, winning in the Tier 1 would be an achievement in itself, as his Russian compatriot Codemasters is unfortunately out of the Grand Prix. He has retired somewhere in Sector 1. I can see his car on the minimap moving very slowly, so it doesn't look like he's crashed or anything, as there were no yellow flags out. But yeah, unfortunate to have 1 DNF. No safety car, like we might have thought would happen. As Jarno unbelievably sends it on Infamous, completely out of the blue there. As Infamous actually gets a penalty because he probably was more star-stunned than I was. Unbelievable dive bomb from Jarno. It was like he's had like a honey badger of similar pursuits in that Renault car. Unbelievable move there. That is why he's the champion. Sorry if I caught one of your ears off guard there, because oh my, Jarno, he's definitely racing. Even though in the YouTube chat he said he was hungover, I don't believe that, to be honest, because I can barely think straight when I'm hungover. Never mind do an audacious dive bomb like that. Michael is next. It seems like Jarno's not done with business for this season just yet, guys. No, he wants to show us why he's a champion. He's done enough of that this season, but he's definitely not done with business just yet. As you can see, Michael in his distance, he can see the top 2 in theory in his distance. I'm pretty sure Jarno does he have a penalty? Yeah, he does actually. So in theory, he probably won't win, but he might get a podium. But I mean, that's the move of the race, definitely from Jarno. Unbelievable stuff. Can I get past Michael? Well, definitely not on this straight, but after the last straight, who knows? Up into 4th place he goes. As we're on the penultimate lap of this race and this season. Covered a lot of track distance over a lot of different countries, as Anka is now out of the race.
Retired in the pits.
He had a terrible race, let's be honest. Not the best way to end his season, but unfortunately for the Duck Finnish driver, I'm sure I'll be back next season to do even better. But yeah, as the end of this season, Jarno and all the other drivers only have 1 more. There's yellow flags. I think that's just for Anka's car. Yeah. Fair enough. All right then, final lap we are nearing in this season. 21 races. It's been a long season that spanned the course of over half a year. We started in August, and we're now just into the month of February. Obviously unusual considering the release date of the new game was a few months earlier. Hopefully we can fit in a season 19 as well to add to this game. That'll be absolutely incredible, and hopefully all the drivers that you can see on your screen now will be back for more. But we have one last lap. Any more attacks going to happen on this final lap to end this season with a bang? I don't think Napadowski's definitely going to go for a move. But what about Jarno? He's got more ERS than Michael and DRS as well. In the battle for provisional third place, some of the penalties will be applied after the race. But here goes Jarno on the final lap. Down the inside, he tries to go on Michael. Michael gives him the room, but outbrakes the Renault driver. Jarno will try and get back at him down the second straight with DRS. Obviously, he's battled a lot with Michael this season. He's battling once more with the McLaren driver, and he's got ahead of the Greek McLaren driver up into third place, and that will be the finale for his season, overtaking on the final lap in what has been an incredible season for the Renault driver. But unlike most of the races this season, he will not end up victorious. The final race of the season is going to end for the Ferrari driver of Napadowski like it did in the first race of the season in a completely different tier, completely different drivers, but the same Napadowski has prevailed. He'll come second on track. Speed Barry, congratulations to him for winning the race on merit. But Napadowski wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as the fireworks light up the sky. That's a really nice touch from the developers there to add that sing in. As Michael actually takes second place because of Speed Barry's penalties, 84 milliseconds of the difference. Yara came in fourth, Preznator fifth, Hypers sixth, Infamous seventh, Photon eighth, Danny 9th, Leopard 10th, Le Mans 11th. But Napadowski, you know, I think his time was coming really, and he's shown really good consistency out of the drivers that have moved up from Tier 2. It's probably been the most impressive, and he gets his win, a deserved win. Speedbar, you could argue deserved the win a bit more, but at the end of the day, penalties did apply, and it even cost him second place. But not the best. Well, it was a decent end to the season. Not Brazil levels of incredible, but you know, a good way to send off this season, you would think.
Yes, it is quite a nice way to see some battling on the final lap of the final race. Would have been nice to see a Brazil ending, but we can't get everything. And but it was a nice touch to see some battling at the end. It of course also would have been nice to see some for the lead, but it got done on penalties, unfortunately. But let's just see where the drivers all will come out in the end with all the penalties applied. Of course, Michael took the second spot there due to Speed Barry's penalties. Speed Barry going down to third place, of course. Napadowski taking the win. Then Jarno in fourth place, our champion of this season. Impressionator in fifth. Hypers in sixth. Infamous goes into seventh. Photon eighth. Formula Danny ninth. And Leopard takes the final points of this season. And then we have Le Mans in 11th, and Anka and Codemasters unfortunately not finishing off the race.
I'm pretty sure. Obviously, we obviously did have a few championship battles for the overall championship. Jan, do you know what the gap between Preznator and Photon was for this race?
Before the race, it was 3 points.
I thought so. Philip's done enough to take P4 in the Drivers' Championship. Danny didn't do enough to overhaul Hypers. Hypers takes second place. Danny, a well-merited third position after taking quite a few wins. I think he took 6 off memory. So yeah, obviously he was very rapid, and if you attended more races, he could have given Jarno an even bigger challenge. But I just want to thank everyone for, thank everyone for allowing me and Jens the opportunity to commentate the top split of AOR. Jens, it has been a pleasure commentating through with you for not just Tier 1, but also Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4. Unfortunately, we can't go even higher. This is our summit at the moment, but yeah, a great way to end the season. And yeah, Jens, and also thank you, Jan, for joining us in the comments box for the final race of this season. And Jens, you want to see us away?
Yes, I will, and it's been a pleasure to commentate with you as well, James, and of course also you, Jan, for this final race. But that is unfortunately going to be it for this amazing season of AOR. We've seen how many winners is it? I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 winners, 8 winners in total this season. So great to see that. A lot of drivers have been able to go all out this season, and we've seen some great battling. But as I said, that's going to be it for this season. Season 19 is currently in the works. There's at least talks about it, so that's hopefully something we'll be able to see, and I hope I will be able to commentate that for you. That is going to be it, and until then, have a good one and goodbye.